Evolve your game and get a $100 bonus. Sign up now at TVG.com.
Welcome inside our TVG studios in Los Angeles. I'm Joaquin Jaime alongside Paula Duca. And Paulie, during that 2-week span from the Kentucky Derby to the Preakness Stakes, a lot of the focus is always on, will the Kentucky Derby winner go 2 for 2 in the Triple Crown? Is there possibly a horse in the Derby that had a triple drip that can win at Pimlico? Or maybe it's a new face. So we'll go ahead and step away from the analysis and the handicapping for just 1 second, and we're gonna let the racing fan come out of us right here. Paula Duca and I are gonna go ahead and assemble our top 10 Preakness Stakes.
Top 10 Preakness Stakes since I've been born, so 1972
That's why we
and
go
above.
all the way down here to 1973 with Secretariat.
So let's go ahead and start it.
I'll go ahead and start it. And this, for me, it's personal here because I was 13 years old when Louis Quatorze won in 1996. Wire to wire, it was Pat Day's 5th win in the Preakness Stakes. So I will go ahead and put Louis Quatorze in 1996 for Nick Zito and Pat Day as number 10 on the list. And speaking of Pat Day, number 9 for you, Summer Squall.
Yeah, you can say Pat Day, that was obviously his 5th win in the Preakness, but you could argue his best ride was probably Summer Squall. So I'm gonna go Summer Squall in 1990. I remember I was 18 years old, right up the rail was Pat Day with Summer Squall. Tremendous ride, probably his best ride of his 5 wins.
Pat Day down there at the inside, Paulie in those yellow and green silks, a Dogwood stable. He's just going to go inside your Kentucky Derby winner right there. And Craig Perrette in Unbridled, he had a decision to make at the quarter pole. Was he going to go outside of Unbridled? He decided to go ahead and stay in, save ground. Good ride there by Pat Day to win the 1990 Preakness Stakes. And, you know, he didn't run in the Belmont Stakes that year. That's in 1990 in New York when there was no Lasix.
Lasix, that's true.
So he didn't run in the Belmont Stakes. He also didn't run in the Breeders' Cup Classic that year. I believe we didn't see him until September at Philly Park in the Pennsylvania Derby. So we have 1990 Summer Squall, number 8, one of our favorite horses, Ali Sheba.
Well, probably both of our favorite horses. I mean, gosh, I was 15 years old. I remember being at Turf Paradise when Ali Sheba won the Derby, and I know this is a horse that you've always remembered for a long time, Kino.
Yeah, it's really one of the earliest Derbies I can remember, nearly falling at the top of the stretch when he clipped the hills of Bet Twice. And let's take a look at the 87 Preakness at the top of the stretch.
Through the lane, it's Ali Sheba, Bet Twice at the rail, Gulch on the outside. They race down to the 8th pole, and it's Ali Sheba on the outside. Along the inside, Bet Twice. They race to the 16th pole. Ali Sheba on the outside. Bet Twice at the rail. It's Ali Sheba winning the Preakness.
Chris McCarron aboard Ali Sheba, Craig Perrette aboard Bet Twice. Ali Sheba would beat Bet Twice in the Derby and the Preakness Stakes. And then
Bet Twice got him the next 2 times.
The next 2 times, I believe it was the Haskell.
In the Belmont.
And in the Belmont, obviously, to spoil the Triple Crown bid in 1987. All right, number 7, we'll go ahead and go to the filly here. Rachel Alexandra. Has it already been this long already? Since 2009. The first filly to win the Preakness Stakes since Nellie Morse in 1924. We'll try this one more time here. Rachel Alexandra in 2009, number 7. Not going to go.
I don't think it wants to go, but she was the first filly, obviously, to win the Preakness since 1924. She beat a suspect Phil with Mind That Bird and Musket Man, but still historic moment.
Rachel Alexandra's in front with 1 furlong to go. Musket Man moves to second. Mind That Bird is third on the outside. The filly trying to hold on. She's clear by 3. Mind That Bird runs at her late. Here's the weigher. And the filly did it. Rachel Alexandra has defeated the Kentucky.
Phenomenal race call there by track announcer Tom Durkin. You saw Mind That Bird closing on the outside. That was Mike Smith riding Mind That Bird. Calvin Burrell took off the Kentucky Derby winner to go ahead and ride Rachel Alexandra, who won the Kentucky Oaks 1 day prior, and then was the 5th filly to go ahead and win the Preakness Stakes. All right, number 6, we got to
go to the battle. I mean, Affirmed in Aladar. I mean, at one time, I think Aladar actually beat Affirmed in his first start, 5.5 furlongs at Belmont. He beat him in the Champagne at 7 furlongs. He beat him one other time in a disqualification, but Affirmed just never was going to let him by again in the Preakness in another thrilling finish.
On the outside, along the rail, Believe It. They're into the stretch, 3/16 of a mile to go. Affirmed holds that lead. Alidar up on the outside to join the leaders. They come on down to the 8th pole. It's Alidar on the outside. Affirmed along the rail. Inside the 8th pole, it's affirmed, holding a slight lead. Alidar's charging at him. Coming on to the 16th pole, it's affirmed. Alidar on the outside. They come on down to the finish. Affirmed and Alidar. Here's the finish. Affirmed.
All right, 36 years ago since
right?
Affirmed and Alidar, the last Triple Crown winner in 1978. And Affirmed beat him before. I believe they beat him as a 2-year-old in the Great American and the Champagne Stakes at Belmont Park. And then
The crazy part is Affirmed beat him again in the Travers and got taken down that year, and Alidar got put up. But that was the only time as actually older than a 2-year-old that Alidar ever conquered Affirmed was via disqualification.
Let's go ahead and move on to number 5, and we go to 1997, Bob Baffert. Mr. and Mrs. Lewis, Silver Charm in 1997. Silver Charm and Freehouse, the California-bred Freehouse for Paco Gonzalez, they had a pretty good rivalry going out here on the West Coast. Freehouse beat Silver Charm in the Santa Anita Derby, and then they both ran well, obviously, in the Kentucky Derby. But here's a look at the Preakness Stakes. Captain Bodgett on the outside, Paulie. I know you like this horse.
Yeah, Captain Bodgett actually was my Derby horse, and he ran another good third here. But Silver Charm, we have, if you look at the list, Point Given in 2001 was one of the horses that we left off. That was probably Bob Baffert's most talented runner that never won the Triple Crown. This is probably Bob Baffert's most guttiest runner, and that was Silver Charm. Just never letting anybody by and got the best of the Bobs as the 2 grays go down the wire, and Captain Bodgett, another third-place finish.
You see Captain Bodgett closing on the outside. I remember hearing Gary Stevens say that he felt Captain Bodgett and Alex Solis by him running up on the outside. That gave him that extra push to go ahead and get his nose down on the wire. You can't watch that Preakness Stakes, though, and not mention Touch Gold, the bad stumble that he had at the start, nearly unseating jockey Chris McCarron.
Came back to win the Belmont.
And came back and beat Gary Stevens and Silver Charm in the 1997 Belmont Stakes. Number 4, we'll go ahead and move on to Curlin in 2007, defeating your Kentucky Derby winner, Street Sense.
I think this is one of the better Preaknesses that we've had in a while. You got to remember, this was only Curlin's 5th career start. Street Sense and Hardspun are in this field. Pretty darn good race.
And on through to the lead, and Curlin's to his outside. Street Sense in front at the 8th pole. Curlin giving his a length and a half behind. And farther back, Hindsight spun his third. Coming out to the finish, Street Sense. Here comes Curlin. Curlin surging. Street Sense in deep water. Too close to call. Too close to call.
I thought Street Sense was home.
Yeah, I know, right?
I thought he was home about
So
the
did
last
the connections.
16th of a mile. You know who else thought he was home?
Yes.
I think Mr. Carl Nafsker also thought he was home. Let's go ahead and take a look at the NBC video this afternoon back in 2007, Paulie. That's Carl Nafsker on the left. Gives Mr. Taffel a little nudge there on the right. As horse players, you always say this. Do not tell me that we're going to be there. Do not tell me that we have it. And then look, they're about 50 yards from the wire right here.
Oh, no, that's the ultimate pong.
And then he gives the head shake.
And how many times have you had your buddy sitting next to you and nudge you, you're home, you're home? It's the worst in the world, and that was the ultimate pong. But Curlin ended up being tremendous. Hers went on to win the Classic by many that year. Throwing Any Given Saturday into that Classic, very good race.
All right, already up to number 3 on the list, and we're talking about how bad Ali Sheba's stumble was in the 1987 Kentucky Derby. 2005 for Fleet Alex was much worse when he clipped the heels of Scrappy T. Let's take a look back at the 2005 Preakness.
3 furlongs to do it. He's 10 lengths behind and caught in some traffic now. And Scrappy T comes away with the lead. But a Fleet Alex is taking a bull run. Oh, Scrappy T blew the turn. And a Fleet Alex Jeffrey Rose almost fell out of the saddle. A dramatic occurrence at the top of the stretch. Here is a Fleet Alex who has come on to take the lead. Scrappy T blew the turn, and he's second on the inside. And it's 5 lengths back. Giacomo will manage only to be third. They're coming down to the finish. And in dramatic style, a Fleet Alex, who almost fell at the top of the stretch, has won the Preakness by 5 lengths. Scrappy T was...
By far, one of the most athletic moves you will ever see a racehorse do on the racetrack. I have no idea how Jeremy Rose even stayed aboard.
Yeah, it was unbelievable, almost falling out of his stirrups. That was Ramon Dominguez on Scrappy T, the local horse that was a huge price that day. Fleet Alex, probably the best horse, might have been the horse that could have won that Triple Crown, not beaten by Giacomo.
Number 2, we go all the way down to Secretariat. 1973 Preakness Stakes. And we'll go ahead and pick this video up, Paulie, going underneath the wire the first time. Ronnie Turcotte was already about 7 or 8 lengths back. We talk about a Rozzy making that big move in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. How about this move on the first turn?
He got left in the gate, and if you remember the race caller saying Secretariat is in the back of the pack, and then Ronnie Turcotte just wheels about 4 wide. Now listen, we were doing this Preakness top 10 were sort of races that we remember, but now that we're into the game so much, I know this is 1973, I'm showing my age, I was a year old, but when you watch horse racing, this is some kind of race move. It just shows you that's why he was probably the best that maybe ever been on a racetrack.
Secretariat, 2.5. Sham under a strong left-handed whip, and he's making it run now, but it's still Secretariat holding on. Secretariat by 2 lengths. Sham driving second. There's a strong left-handed whip again by Pinkai. He goes to it time and time again, but Ronnie Turcotte has his whip put away, and Secretariat has him put away. He's beginning to draw away. It is Secretariat. He's coming to the wire. He wins it by 2.5, almost 3. Sham an easy second, our native third. They call it ours for Deadly Dream fifth.
Secretariat stopping the clock at 1 minute 54 and 2/5 seconds. It was just actually a couple years ago that the Maryland Racing Commission changed that to 1:53 flat. So now Secretariat has all stakes records in the Triple Crown back in 1973. Was this really a surprise? It really was not a surprise for number 1. 1989, Sunday Silence, easy goer. Sunday Silence beat him in the Kentucky Derby. Let's go ahead and take a look back and listen to Trevor Denman with the call to 89 Preakness.
Swayler, Easy Goer and Pate, head and head through the stretch. What a horse race this one is. Easy Goer and Sunday Silence going nose and nose in the Preakness. Sunday Silence, Easy Goer, here's the finish. Sunday Silence wins it by a nose.
Not only was that one of the best Preakness Stakes I've ever seen, that might be one of the best races in general that I've ever seen.
It's got to be. I mean, it's up there. Pat Day and Patrick Valenzuela put on a display with 2 great horses, and to me, that was the one race that struck me that I wanted to be in horse racing by far, and I know it was for you too as well.
Yeah. There it is. For Paul Duca, I'm Joaquin Jaime. A look at our top 10 Preakness Stakes. Enjoy the 139th running on Saturday.